So, if you're running a business or a nonprofit in Ontario, listen up. There is a huge deadline coming up that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Today, we're going to break down exactly what you need to do with a simple, actionable checklist to get your website compliant. Let's dive right in.
Okay, go ahead and circle this date on your calendar, December 31st, 2026. And listen, this isn't just some suggestion from the Ontario government. It is the firm, non-negotiable deadline for accessibility compliance reporting, and it applies to a massive range of businesses and nonprofits all across the province.
So, here's the million-dollar question. Are you ready? I mean, really, if the deadline was tomorrow, could you honestly say your website, all your forms, and even your PDFs are fully compliant? That's what we're here to help you figure out right now.
All right, here's our game plan for today. First, we'll cover the deadline itself. Then, we'll demystify what accessible actually means in the eyes of the law. After that, I'm going to give you a super quick 15-minute risk check you can do yourself, followed by a realistic 3-phase plan to get everything sorted. And finally, we'll wrap up with the common mistakes you definitely want to avoid.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about who this deadline actually applies to. You know, there's a common misconception that this is just for government websites, but honestly, that could not be further from the truth.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This comes straight from the Government of Ontario's official guidance. The law specifically calls out private businesses and nonprofits. We're talking about a massive number of organizations here. So, what in the world does accessible actually mean? It can sound a little fuzzy, but when it comes to the law, it's incredibly specific and, more importantly, it's something you can test. To really get it, there are 2 acronyms you absolutely have to know. First up is AODA. That's the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. This is the law. It's the big picture act in Ontario that establishes accessibility as a fundamental right. And the specific rules for websites, well, those are tucked inside a section called the ISR. Just think of AODA as the what you need to do. Now, if AODI is the what, then WCAG is the how. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, specifically version 2.0, level AA, are the official rulebook. This is the nitty-gritty technical standard with really clear pass or fail criteria that your website has to meet to be considered compliant.
And here is a super important point that so many people get wrong. Filing your compliance report, that's just paperwork. It's an administrative task where you tell the government, yep, we've looked at the rules. The real work, the thing that actually matters, is making your site accessible. That's what gives you the proof that you're compliant. Seriously, think of the report as the very last thing you do, not the first. All right, let's get our hands dirty. You can find out a ton about your website's risk level in just the next few minutes, and you don't need any special tools. This is a quick little triage that anyone, and I mean anyone, can do. So here it is, the single most fundamental question you can ask. Can you use your entire site without a mouse? Go on, just unplug it or push it aside. For a lot of users with motor disabilities who rely on assistive tech, the keyboard is everything. Okay, let's quickly run through this 5-point check. First, the keyboard test. Just use your tab key. Can you get to every single link, button, and menu? If you get stuck, that's a red flag. Second, look at your forms. Does every field have a clear, visible label? Third, the contrast check. Is your text easy to read, especially that light gray text on a white background? Fourth, your PDFs. Try to highlight the text. If you can't, it's just a flat image to a screen reader. And finally, number 5, your embeds. Think Google Maps, chat widgets. Do they work with the keyboard? If you said no to any of these, you've got some work to do. Now, if that little risk check turned up a few issues, please do not panic. The key here is to treat this like a structured project, not some last-minute fire drill. So here's a totally manageable 3-phase plan to get you there. Look, this is not about blowing up your entire website. Phase 1 is just about understanding what you're up against. Get a proper audit that gives you a clear to-do list. Then, Phase 2 is remediation, the actual fixing. The key here is to be smart about it. And Phase 3 is all about making sure those fixes actually stick. You test everything, you validate it, and then you set up a simple process to monitor the site going forward so you don't accidentally break it again. So how do you fix things smartly? Well, the most efficient way to do it is to start with what we call template blockers. These are the issues hiding in your website's header, footer, or main navigation. You see, if you fix a problem there, you've just fixed it on hundreds of pages at once. It's the biggest bang for your buck. After that, you move on to critical things like forms, then your most popular pages, and then finally you can tackle the PDFs and those third-party tools.
All right, when people are in a rush to get compliant, it's really easy to fall for some common myths or try to take shortcuts that honestly don't work. Let's bust two of the biggest ones right now. Oh man, I hear this one all the time. It's this idea that you can just install a single plugin or an overlay widget, and poof, it magically fixes all your accessibility problems with one little line of code. If only it were that simple. Here's the reality. Those tools are basically like putting a fresh coat of paint on a crumbling wall. They don't fix the actual underlying code. The real problems, the keyboard traps in your navigation, the confusing form errors, the inaccessible PDFs, all of that is still broken underneath.
Okay, here's another huge pitfall. You go out and you buy a really nice theme for your website. It was advertised as accessibility ready, and you just assume your work is done, right?
Well, an accessible theme is a fantastic start, it really is, but it's only the foundation. The second you start adding your own content with a page builder, or you install that chat widget, or create a custom-coded section, you can easily introduce brand new accessibility barriers. A theme is just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle.
So if you only remember one thing from all of this, please make it this. You have to fix the system, not just the symptoms. Real lasting compliance comes from fixing your core templates and your content creation process. Don't waste your energy patching the same exact problem on 50 different pages. A strategic template-first approach is truly the only way to get compliant and to stay compliant.
Okay, we've covered the deadline, we've covered the rules, and we've laid out a clear plan to get you ready. So now the ball is officially in your court. What's the very first test from our 15-minute check that you're going to run on your site as soon as this is over? Remember, the whole journey starts with that one simple step. Thanks for tuning in.